The deadly virus, released in 1996, wipes out almost all of humanity, forcing survivors to live underground. A group known as the Army of the 12 Monkeys is believed to have released the virus. The first scene shows terrified Blue Eyes, seeing a man named Cole holding a gun, dropping it on the floor, and a lady named Catherine rushing towards him screaming, both holding hands. Cole has blood on his hand, and there stands a boy with blue eyes sadly looking at them. In the next scene, Cole opens his eyes and looks here and there. He is a prisoner who has been living in an underground compound beneath Philadelphia. He asks his partner about what's going on and he informs him that they need volunteers, and his name has been just called out. His partner is making guesses for the reasons he must be called for and wishes him good luck. In the next scene, Cole is seen getting into a spacesuit and entering a shuttle. He exits from the shuttle and enters the lift going up. He reaches a place full of water, wires hanging, and looks at the map he is holding. In the next scene, he is coming out of a hole in a place full of snow. Everything is still and frozen. He opens his box and takes out a jar. He finds a beetle crawling and puts it in the sample jar. He suddenly hears a bear growling, who is behind, and he tries to escape, but then the bear leaves. Next, he enters a room and frozen shoes can be seen in a showcase. He looks around and it seems like a shop. He found a spider web. He plucked the spider as a sample. He then enters an old building where he finds an owl on 3. He crosses the building and is out in the snow again. He finds a banner hidden in the snow labeled "We Did It." At the same time, he looks up and finds a lion roaring. In the next scene, Cole is shown being washed and injected with something. He is escorted by 2 men, and as soon as he enters, a voice tells him that he has been cleared from quarantine. He is now standing in front of the panel of scientists. The 2 guards are ordered to leave, but they inform them that Cole is a dangerous man. The scientist asks Cole if he is going to hurt them, but he nods his head, and the guards leave. Cole is asked to sit on the chair behind him. He is handcuffed, and the chair raises. The scientist reveals the purpose of his call. Cole is selected to be sent back in time to find the original virus to help scientists develop a cure in exchange for a reduced sentence. The next scene is in Baltimore in April 1990. With an old lady lecturing some students. One of the students, Catherine, leaves the class in a rush to answer her phone call. The next scene shows a mental hospital full of patients in a cell. Catherine is walking in a corridor with a doctor who is explaining a patient's condition. He is telling her that the patient has sent 2 police officers to the hospital. Catherine looks inside his cell and the doctor warns her. She enters and sits down in front of Cole and explains to him that she is a psychiatrist and is here for his well-being. He says to let him go, but she explains that the police can't let him go. He says he needs to go because he has to gather some information. She inquires about the information. He says no one will understand and tells her that it is so fresh here. He then asks her if it's October, but she replies it's April. Then he asks if it's 1996, and she informs him it's 1990. You are not living in the future. The next scene shows 2 guards escorting him out. He asks where they are taking him, and they tell him to a fancy hotel. He sits in the police van. The next scene shows he has been bathed. He requests the man to let him make an important telephone call, but the man replies in anger that he is not allowed to make calls. In the next scene, a TV shows black and white Tom and Jerry cartoons, and they enter a recreational center. His guard calls Jeffrey, who is sitting in a chair hiding his face. He asks Jeffrey to show him around games or something. Jeffrey asks how much you are going to pay me. He replies that he is going to give him $5,000. He shows Cole around. Cole requests him that he wants to make a telephone call, and he replies that he cannot communicate with the outside world. Jeff irritates Cole by continuously talking and telling him about the institution and the place. Jeff leaves as somebody sits on his chair and a suited man stands next to Cole, telling him about himself, that he is mentally a divergent person and is he too. The next scene shows Clone sitting in front of a team of doctors explaining to them that this is a place for crazy people and he is not crazy. He further explains he is going nuts in this place and he has some important information that nobody will understand. He tries to explain about 12 monkeys, but one of the doctors says that he should take his time to explain, as he didn't seem mentally stable. He was rather irritated by the cops who were strictly guarding him. He tries to explain that 1990 and 1996 both are pasts. He needs to get into the roots of where the virus came from. The doctors, who are unable to understand him, to allow him to make a telephone call to his scientists who have sent him in the wrong year. He keeps insisting and Catherine agrees. The next scene shows children playing in a room. The phone rings and a lady picks up the call and says, "I don't know about any scientist." Cole drops the call in disappointment. He explains that it was the wrong number and he is in the wrong year. He is supposed to be in 1996. Cops grab him, and then the same airport shooting scene appears. In the next scene, Cole is sleeping in a ward. He wakes up and looks at the window, which is sealed, and Jeff wakes up and tells him that he can't open the window. Jeff explains that it's because the people inside here don't meet the outer world. Cole sees a spider crawling and at the same time hears someone coming. He quickly grabs the spider and pretends to sleep. Then Jeff starts talking again about germs. Cole starts getting irritated and eats the spider. Jeff comes near to his bed and says that he can help him to escape because his father has links. He starts to raise his voice, which wakes up the rest. The caretakers enter and take him away. He keeps on yelling that if my father comes to know, he will get upset. He is taken out of the ward. In the next scene, TV shows a monkey trapped. Jeff sits next to Cole and asks him how he is feeling now. He points at the bunnies on TV and says not as bad as these bunnies. Cole adds that the humans should be treated like this too. Jeff asks him about his plans and what he is writing. He keeps telling him it's private. And a cop enters and they leave. The next scene shows all the patients sitting and watching TV. Jeff takes a seat next to the Cole and keeps on saying monkey. And shows him a key. He hands him the key and tells him to stick to the plan and that he has done his part. He then gets hyper and starts moving around calling out monkey. There is chaos in the room and he keeps everyone distracted. While Cole struggles to unlock the door to escape, a patient suggests him to go to Florida. He tricks the policeman and elopes. He is not stable due to drugs. The next scene shows Catherine talking to a man who is showing a piece of newspaper to her and praising her for her beauty. The doctor appears and informs her that your patient Cole has eloped. The next scene shows Cole exiting from a door and struggling to get out of there. The alarms ring and he is surrounded by cops and doctors in the corridor. He tries to fight back but in vain. He is put on the stretcher and drugged again. He is then put in a cell, chained. The next scene shows a team of doctors discussing Cole. The senior doctor says to Catherine, we have worked together for so many years and I have never seen you defending any patient. And it was your bad judgment. She accepts that it was her bad judgment about Cole. A cop enters and tells us that there is bad news. They all head towards Cole and find out that he has escaped. The doctor is surprised that how did this happen, as he was chained and sedated. He then looks up and says in disbelief that how did he get through that ventilation. The next scene is about the airport shooting. It shows the same blue-eyed kid. Cole is up now and he hears a voice saying that he is messed up. He asks who is there. He says maybe I'm a volunteer like you. Or maybe I'm spying on you, maybe and not even here and just in your head. He says he knew that he is supposed to get the information about the 12 monkeys. The voice asks Cole that where is he? He said he is in 1990, but he is supposed to be in 1996. The voice replies that he is lucky he didn't end up in 1880, then with the sound of the door opening, he says they are coming. The next scene shows that Cole is interrogated by the scientists who play a distorted voicemail message that asserts the association of the army of the 12 monkeys with the virus. They asks him if he made this all. He said that he did not because he was in 1990. And scientists are surprised to hear this. He is also shown photos of numerous people suspected of being involved, including Goins. He pauses on seeing pictures of Jeff and tell them that he met him in the mental institution. The scientists offer Cole another chance to complete his mission. The next scene shows Cole in a time machine and scientists hoping that this time there will be no mistakes. He was sent in 1996. Cole accidentally arrives at a battlefield during World War I, is shot in the leg, and then transported to 1996. The next scene is in Baltimore in November 1996. Where Catherine is giving a lecture to the students. She is a well-known person now, and she tells about a clone in her lecture who claimed that he is from the future. Catherine meets Dr. Peter while she is signing an autograph for him in her published Real Lunacy. She ignores him as she is busy signing. Afterwards, Catherine is seen getting into the car. He kidnaps her and forces her to take him to Philadelphia. Catherine recognizes him and Cole explains that he tracked her through flyers. She asks him the reason for going to Philadelphia, and he replies that he wants to go to look for 12 monkeys. He then asks her to turn on the radio. Cole enjoys the music and the fresh air, while Catherine is teary-eyed because of fear. They reach Philadelphia. The next day, the cops are seen questioning a lady. She talks about missing Catherine. The cops write her car's number and leave. The scene cuts to a cartoon on TV. Someone is knocking at the door, and Cole is sleeping in bed disturbed by the same airport dream. He opens his eyes after he sees Catherine in the dream. He finds Catherine lying on the bed next to him. He walks up to her, closely looking at her, and he tells Catherine that he just saw Catherine in his dream. She asks him what was the dream about, and he tells her that he was in the dream too. He is hungry and he looks for money in her bag. He takes some money out of her wallet to get food. Meanwhile, the TV shows news about Catherine disappearing suddenly. Cole is said to be the suspect as he escaped from the hospital. The next scene shows Catherine driving, and Cole looking through his diary. Catherine asks him what they are about and he tells her that he has written some clues about 12 monkeys. Catherine still believes he is insane. He says, "You will start believing me when you see people start dying out of the virus next month." While she is driving, Cole asks her to pull over. He sees signs of 12 monkeys behind the posters on the wall. Catherine thinks of escaping, but then she stops. She gets out of the car and Cole is showing her the signs that she is not able to understand. Suddenly, a beggar calls him and tells him that he has been watched by them. They are tracking him, and the tracker is in his tooth. Cole forcefully takes her to a shabby place following the signs, where they are attacked by two men. Cole puts them both to eternal sleep and they both escape from there. As soon as he exits, a man calls him and says that he is one of us. Cole pauses and then moves forward, holding Catherine's hand. While he is walking, he sees a sign of the pig in the wall, which is also a part of 12 monkeys. They enter the place where they see 3 young kids. He points the gun at them and asks them about the 12 monkeys. A boy accidentally says Jeff's name, which shocks Catherine and Cole. Cole tied them and interrogates about Jeff. They tell him about his father, Dr. Leland Goines, who is a vocalist, and Jeff works with him. Jeff is now famous on social media, and he has an underground army named 12 Monkeys. They leave to look for Goines in a stolen car. Catherine tries to convince Cole that he doesn't need to save the world. She then inquires about his legs, and Cole tells her that he got shot. The radio shares news of Catherine's disappearance, and they suspect it's Cole. She pulls over to get a bandage for his wound. The next scene shows Catherine putting bandages on his wound. He tries to get up but falls. Catherine gives him support and he hugs Catherine. He is seduced by her. And she says, "You will not take advantage of me." The scene changes and shows cops. Cole has hidden under the car and he displaces himself. The scene is moved to a hall where a feast is going on and Dr. Leland Goines. Addressing guests, Jeff is seen sleeping on a chair. A man comes and whispers something in his ears, and he leaves the hall. The guard tells him that a man has entered the house without ID and he claims to know him. Jeff enters the room and refuses to recognize him. He orders to torture him as much as they can. Cole mentions 12 Monkeys and he suddenly recognizes him and takes him upstairs. He denies any involvement with the group and says that, in 1990, Cole originated the idea of wiping out humanity with a virus stolen from Goines' virologist father, Dr. Leland Goines. They both get into a fight. Cole is chased by the guards, but he manages to escape. He reaches the car and opens its trunk where he trapped Catherine. Catherine is enraged and starts hitting Cole. They realize that cops are looking for them. Catherine convinces him to surrender, but he refuses. Cole suddenly vanishes again as he did before while he was in the cell. The next scene changes to Catherine telling the police about Cole, and she gives wrong information about Cole and tells the police a fake story that she doesn't know where he is now. The cop shows her a picture of the man who was killed by Cole. She says that he and his partner were trying to kill them, so Cole killed them to protect her. The cop asks the reason of her taking his side, and she replies that Cole is sick. He thinks he is from future and he needs help. The next scene shows Catherine surrounded by reporters asking her about her kidnapping. Catherine enters the room where her parents are watching the news regarding the search for Cole. She looks outside the window where she sees police cars outside her house guarding her. And the news talks about the missing child and that humans vanishing was a prank. The child hid himself. Cole is transported back to 2035. Where he reaffirms to the scientists his commitment to his mission. The next scene shows Cole with eyes closed and scientists around him singing for him. They further explain that they came to know Cole loves music, but Cole is still unstable due to switching to different times back and forth. He is behaving strangely and is injected by one of the scientists. It cuts to Catherine talking to the doctor, telling him about Cole and that she believes whatever he said about the 12 Monkeys is true and that Cole is not insane. The doctor refuses to believe her and reminds her that she is a psychiatrist and she cannot believe in something that is unreal. Cole is seen in bed. He hears a voice. The voice asks him to do what he wants and Cole replies he doesn't know what he wants. Voice guides that he wants fresh air. And her, that's what he wants. The next scene shows Catherine in bed. Looking disturbed by a dream, she shook with the phone ringing. The detective tells her that the bullet she took out from Cole's leg belonged to World War I. She is in shock and quickly hangs up the phone. She grabs a book, looks through the pictures and finds Cole's picture in it. Next, the scientists are interrogating Cole regarding 1996. And Cole tells them that he wishes to go back to help humanity and now that he knows the people who are involved so he can help and save the world. Now the scene is moved to money in a cage and the voice of Dr. Goines talking on the phone with Catherine, asking about the virus. He assures her that he and neither his son has any access to any dangerous organisms in his laboratory. And Catherine drops the phone in anger. Dr. Goines and his assistant disgust Catherine. The scientists are seen asking Cole questions regarding the virus to check his information on it. They are impressed that he has a good piece of information regarding the virus. The next scene shows Catherine knocking at the door which has that same pig sign above it. Jeff is also inside with his team, busy writing something. They inform him that they must leave as they can be in trouble. But he ignores them. Catherine finds the same old man and asks him about Cole. He tells her that there are policemen behind watching her. But he refuses to know Cole. Inside, Jeff tells the kids that Catherine was my ex-psychiatrist. While Catherine is spraying on the wall, she finds Cole there and runs up to him and tries to hide him from the police. Cole is willing to surrender and says that he believes he is insane. Catherine grabs his hand and takes him with her. He looks at the written on the wall and says he has seen this before. Catherine keeps pulling him. Next, Jeff is seen with the kids again. He tells them that when he met Catherine he had not even thought of this idea of the virus. The next scene shows Catherine and Cole running and hiding. They reach the hotel, and Catherine rents a room for an hour so she could talk to Cole in detail. The manager of the hotel is an old man who is calling someone named Tom and telling him about Catherine and Cole. Catherine in the room is asking Cole how he disappeared. He said he doesn't remember how. Then she asks how did he know that the child is going to disappear. He said he didn't know. He thought he watched it in a TV show when he was a kid. She said it was not a TV show but it happened in real. He admits that Catherine was right that he is insane. He just imagines things and they are not real. Catherine shows him a picture from World War I, and Cole says he doesn't remember anything and maybe he had some delusions. And Catherine should explain this. She says she can't. She says we should know about things so we can save 5 million people from dying. Cole says he doesn't want to worry about the future but to live in the present with Catherine. Catherine hugs him and asks him about the number he used to dial to talk to connect with the scientists. At that time, a man with a hat enters and says nobody can mess with his place. Cole is shocked, asking if it's happening for real. The man hits Catherine and she has blood coming out of her nose. Cole hits him with the telephone and drags him to the room and locks, people calling the cops. Catherine is knocking at the door. When he opens the door, he has blood all over the place, of holding a knife and a tooth on his hand. Cole tells her that nobody can spy on her now. He will now live in this world. The cops arrive and they find the area clean, just an insane man talking to himself. The next scene shows Cole and Catherine getting off the bus. Hiding their blood, she leaves Cole at a point and tells him that she's going to call the number he gave and leaves. Meanwhile, Cole is getting flashbacks of the building and the bear, which he has already seen. Catherine comes back happy, calling his name with joy. She tells him that the number he gave was of Carpet Cleaner Company, and she left a message which Cole was already aware of, regarding the 12 Monkeys army, and they are the ones who are going to spread the virus. She can't do anything about it. Merry Christmas. Catherine is in shock as Cole said the same in the message. She said there's no way he could hear her, but he tells her that he had already heard this message, played by the scientist in her voice. They are being spied on by someone. They both get into the mall to buy some clothes. And Cole realizes that he has been here to this place before too. The next scene shows a few boys sitting in a van talking to each other. The van stops and Jeff enters with a body covered. He reveals that it was his father. His father recognized Jeff and told him that the psychiatrist had already warned him about his plans. But he failed to believe her. He has taken the measures and the virus is no more. Jeff tells him that he is too late. And his father replies that he is too insane. It cuts to a screen. Cole and Catherine are sitting in a cinema. Catherine cleaning his blood and changing his attire so that they can't be recognized. She tells him that we are going to leave for Florida as he always wanted to see oceans. Next, a zoo and animals in it is shown. Cole is dreaming of them. He suddenly wakes up and finds Catherine is not there and runs to look for her. She was making a call. He says that he is able to recognize her and has seen her like this in his dream. They hug. The next scene moves to animals out of the cage walking freely on the road. Cole and Catherine is heading towards the airport. The driver turns on the radio and they learn that the army of the 12 Monkeys was not the source of the epidemic. The group's major act of protest is releasing animals from a zoo and placing Goin's father in an animal cage. At the airport, Cole leaves a message telling the scientists the following: the army of the 12 Monkeys is the wrong track and that he will not return. Cole is confronted by Josh, his cellmate from his own time, who gives Cole a handgun and instructs him to follow orders. Catherine spots Dr. Peter at the airport and recognizes him from a newspaper as an assistant to Goin's father. Peter is about to embark on a tour of several cities that match the locations of the viral outbreaks. Cole forces his way through a security checkpoint in pursuit of Peter. After drawing his gun, Cole is shot by police. As Cole lies dying in Catherine's arms, Catherine suddenly begins to scan the crowd around her. Catherine finally makes eye contact with a small boy, the young James Cole, witnessing the scene of his death, which will replay in his dreams for years to come. Peters, aboard the plane with the virus, sits down next to Jones, one of the scientists from the future, who comments that her job is insurance. The young Cole watches the plane take off from the ground outside the airport.